Hello and welcome to today's edition of Making Stuff Up with Wendy. I'm Wendy Watkins, the Joy Strategist, and I'm so glad you're here. This is where we talk about the intersection of creativity and mindset, and we make stuff up, right? Because look, it's all made up, so why not make up the good stuff? And here is our guest today, Miss Loubna Zarrou. Welcome, Loubna.
Hello. Are we ready to have fun?
We are ready to have fun. Are you all ready to have fun? I think they are. Good. So Loubna is joining us from the Netherlands. She is the founder of the Exponential Hero. You know, she's all of those other things. She's a speaker, she's a mentor, a best-selling author, but the most important thing is Loubna is my friend. She is my colleague, and we are certainly sisters from another mother. So it was an immediate connection when we met, and we've had wonderful experiences together. And I'm so glad that you're here with me and with all of us today for making stuff up, Loubna. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's going to be fun, and this is such an honor to be with you again.
Yes, we've created courses together. We've done all kinds of fun things together. I guess
we ate sushi together.
That's the most important thing, right? Oh, I forgot to say that in the bio. She's also the co-founder of the Entrepreneur Sushi Club. Could I forget that? We have that in common for sure.
So most definitely, yes.
So tell the audience a little bit more about you besides your sushi loving and what we are going to make today and why you chose that.
Yeah, awesome. So everything that Wendy told you is true, and it's only a fraction of what people can say about me or what even I say about myself. I am also known as the crazy ideas lady. That's how the Entrepreneur Sushi Club was born, but a lot of other projects also. I get to do crazy things and I just love them. Whenever someone says it's never been done, I'm thinking, ooh, I better do that because I'm going to enjoy myself discovering how we can make that work. So yeah, I like to try things out. I like to experiment. I'm not afraid of a challenge. I'm not a craft person in any way, shape or form. But I have three nieces, two of them, one is 6 years old, and the other one is 4. And both of the 6 and 4-year-old love to make things. So I am encouraged to come up with things that we can craft and make together. That's how I came up with our project together today, because we're going to be making binoculars from rolls. Now, these are paper towel rolls, but you could also use rolls from toilet paper. You could even use the paper towel roll and cut it into the middle and make a smaller binocular instead of those big ones. I've made them with my niece, and she wanted me to make at least 4 of them for her mother, for her father, for her grandmother. So I've had some practice, so I feel comfortable that I can do this while recording our chat together.
Fantastic. I just love the idea of binoculars because, you know, with this concept of making stuff up, it really is about how we choose to see things, right? It's about a perspective. So Loubna, I don't know if you know this or not, but because you're a guest and you probably already have this, but I want to remind you that you now have an MSU. And we're going to put that next to your name, and it could be Loubna Zarrou MSU. And for those of you that are watching us, you too have an MSU because everything's made up. We make stuff up. So the craft today is definitely something we're making, but this concept of perspective, right, of how we see things through our binoculars is going to be what we're talking about today. So let's get started, get us going on making the project, and then we can weave in our conversation.
Yeah, awesome. So I have here different color paper. So it's pink, it's green, etc. So because you don't want half binoculars looking like this. So what I want you to, the first step is to choose a color paper, and it could be 2 totally different colors. And we're going to glue the paper on the roll so that it looks a little bit prettier, and we can even decorate it even more with stickers, or even use a marker to draw on it. But first we need to cover this bad color up. So choose your color of paper, and we're going to wrap this with glue like this. You're going to glue one side of the piece of paper and then turn it around, glue the other side. Or if you don't have any glue, just use some tape and make sure that it's tight so that we can use it.
Oh, I love that. So I'm doing something a little different, right? Because we're making stuff up. And
Absolutely.
I thought, well, if I'm using my binocular, I have colored paper here, Loubna, because you told me to. But then when I was really putting things together, I thought, you know what I'm going to use? Because I saw this. I have this little mini phone book. And I just love phone books, even though we don't use it anymore. And so I pulled out the travel pages, and I'm going to wrap my binocular in that, because I want to travel. And so I want to see where I'm going. That's really using my MSU right now, isn't it, Loubna?
Absolutely. So you get the purpose is that we want to cover that horrible color of the roll. Now, whatever you use to cover it is up to you. Now, I happen to have some colored paper, but you can use a paper, you can use you can cut out things from a magazine. You can even use it as a somewhat of a vision board, which is actually cool.
All right.
I've got mine done with tape, because glue is.
We just took mine and rolled it and stuffed the paper in there. I hope I don't.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Take it down.
Yeah, so this is my first. I'm going to use a different color for the other one. I'm going to use bright yellow.
Ooh, so you have one. I love that. Who says that binoculars have to be one color? And usually black is what I've always seen binoculars. So
me too, but again, the crazy ideas lady is making binoculars, so they're going to look different and they're the normal ones.
On my outside of my binoculars, it says the luxury cruise passages. Ooh, where are we going? You know, that's always the interesting thing, I think, about perspective, right? Is how we choose to see things. And what always amazes me is how different we choose to see things, right? How some people choose to see things in the negative, right? And other people see it in the positive. Like we've all heard that story about the shoe salesman, or maybe you haven't, the shoe salesman that gets transferred. There are two shoe salesmen that get transferred to sell their shoes in Africa. And what one person made up, what one of the shoe people made up with this was that, oh my gosh, nobody wears shoes there. What an opportunity. While the other salesperson made up, oh my gosh, no one wears shoes there. I'm not going to be able to sell anything. Right. That right there is what we choose to make up by how we choose to see things in different ways. No right or wrong, right? There's never a right or wrong. But I invite you to pay attention to how you choose to see things, and if you're making up the good stuff or the not so good stuff.
Yeah, we saw that. I mean, I still remember how I responded more than a year ago when COVID hit. I mean, we didn't know that it was going to turn into a global pandemic. It was just something that happened, and I had that initial thought of, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm a professional speaker. I make my money getting up on stages and being hired to do so. What am I going to do now that isn't an option anymore? Even more so, we don't know how long it's going to take. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 3 months. Well, as you know, by now, if you're watching this video, it's been more than a year. So it is always, and how you respond to an event like this, and this was a very big event, and how you think about that event determines whether or not you're going to take action or not. A lot of people, and naturally, that is very natural if you responded that way, I thought, I'm going to go back to bed, I'm going to pull the cover over my head, I'm going to ride this wave because I don't want to deal with this right now, which is a very natural response. Again, this is how we cope with things. on the people that thought, okay, what can I do? Where's the opportunity? And there have been people that made absolutely nothing, made no impact, no income. And there, at the other side of the coin is there are people that made 7 figures, 8 figures in the last 12 months. How you choose to respond to events, how you choose to explain them to yourself determines whether, one, you get into action, number 2, whether you take the right action for you right then and there in that moment. So yes, absolutely. The way we look at things determines what we create. So how are we doing on the paper roll? I'm almost
Good.
done with
I'm
my
ready to
second.
roll.
Ooh, you've done that quickly. So right now I've got this one. Ooh,
There it goes.
so I've got 2 of these. Now, as you know, binoculars, this is not a binocular yet. So we need something in the middle. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do that. If you've got some cardboard, it has to be a little bit thicker than this page because this is going to be too thin. So what I did when I made this with my nieces is I cut a ribbon from this. Because it's already very thick, what I did is a ribbon like this, and I made a roll because then it would get thicker and stronger.
Ah.
Yeah, believe you me, you have to be very creative to come up with how am I going to solve this problem.
Yes.
So eventually you'll get something like this. I hope you can see this. Get something like this.
Yeah.
If you roll it up.
Yeah.
Now this can get in, and I've even used a different color again. Now this turns into this.
Oh, I like that. Hey, for those of you that are like joining us and making along, and if you're thinking, am I doing it right? You are. You are. There's no wrong way here. You're doing it right.
Yeah. So this is one way. So if you've got some paper that is thicker than a normal piece of paper, because it has to be almost cardboard, roll it up so it can become strong and rough. That's one way to do it. Another way is if you've got a third roll, whether that is toilet paper or a paper towel roll, you can also cut out a circle out of this and use that as the in-between.
Ah, got it.
Whatever you have handy, you can do that.
You know what I did? I'm totally making stuff up over here. Ready? I took 2 of these fancy pipe cleaners that I have, and I put them.
Yeah, awesome. So again, the purpose is that we want to be able to hold them up. So we need something in between to hold to keep them together. Or you can even be more creative and just say, I'm going to do it like this. Now, my niece was not happy with this option in any way, shape, or form. She really wanted something in between, so I had to come up with something. This worked really well because I had this paper with me. So I thought, okay, what if I make a roll? And I made a very long roll here, but I cut it a little bit for my niece because she doesn't have that much space here. And I put it in between. Again, there are 2 different ways you can do this. I did it 2 different ways with my niece. Is I cut a little round with the scissors in each of the rolls, and I pushed this. That's why I made it a little bit longer. I pushed it in, so it comes out a little bit here, but not too far in because you won't be able to use the binoculars that way. I did the same thing on the other side and then pushed them in together. And then my niece said, I want to have a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? A little piece of thread so that she can hang the binoculars.
Oh, adorable. Yes.
So different ways you can do this. You can also grab a piece of paper if you don't want to cut in this in the roll. You can also grab a little piece of paper, glue it here, then glue this on the piece of paper so that it sticks if you don't want to make a hole into the roll. It's another way of doing it.
You really are the idea lady. There are so many options here. So many options, but I really like the option you just gave about having it tied on to something. So I'm going to do that right now with my pipe cleaners. Look, as you're watching, and I'm so glad that you're here watching us. is that you have to realize that anything in your life, like we're clear on the intention, we're wanting binoculars here. Whatever your intention is, clarity is power. Once you get clear on the intention, then you can start making stuff up. You can make up that this is hard to do, or you can make up that it's easy to do. You can make up that it's silly, or you could make up that it is brilliant. You get to make up whatever you want, but you want to make up things that make you feel good, right? Because when you feel good, you can do good. And that's what we know about happiness, joy, and mental well-being, is that when you have that, you're able to accomplish the things you want to accomplish in your life. Oh, I'm so excited about this. Look, Loubna.
Look at that. I know my niece is going to be so proud of me, but as soon as I finish these, she's going to say, these are mine now. So she's going to take these from me. And then she's going to say, now I want you to create these with me. So I get to spend quality time with my niece again.
Best, the best,
The best.
the best. And it didn't even take long to come up. So, okay, so what did you do with your niece when did you guys go bird watching, or what did you do with the binoculars?
Oh, she gave them away as presents.
Oh, the sweetest of sweet. How
Yeah, she made one for
generous
herself.
is.
She said, this one is for me. And the rest is a present for her mother, her father, her grandmother, and her grandfather.
Oh, I love that generosity. She comes from a place of abundance. That's fabulous. She knows that there's more where that came from. It's so true.
Yeah, that's why she wanted me to make 4 of them. She said, I want to make as much as possible so that, and she said, this one is for my dad, and this one is for my mother. This is for grandma. Yeah.
I can't wait to do this with my nieces and nephews. I cannot wait. How fun, how fun. So Loubna, I mean, just being an aunt, you use your MSU all the time. But I'm curious, like we share the passion of loving positive psychology, right? And
Yes.
the impact that that has on people's mental wellness, their level of productivity, their happiness and fulfillment. What would you say when it comes to making stuff up and positive psychology that would be most beneficial for people to know about using this in their day-to-day life?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've learned specifically about the relationship between positive psychology and neuroscience, so how our brain works. Now, our brain does not distinguish between reality or things that we fantasize about. So knowing that, you can literally make things up. So even if you're right now watching this and think, but I can't make those binoculars, those things look too beautiful, well, make it up that you can. Tell your brain that you can visualize it as much as possible. And if you need to watch this video a couple of times so that you can see how we're doing it, or maybe write down the steps that we've taken, it will help you formulate that movie in your brain. And if you play that movie a couple of times, your brain will think, okay, that's how she does it. And before you know it, you could actually sit down and make those binoculars just like we are making. So that's one of the things that I absolutely love, is that we can create whatever we want to create. And most of the people that I talk to, whether they're clients or friends or family members that are stuck, I just ask them, can you imagine yourself doing the thing that you're trying to accomplish, whether that is in terms of health and well-being, or in terms of their business, or even their career. And they say, no, I can't imagine myself. I said, well, that's your step number 1, because your brain doesn't distinguish between what is real and what isn't. So if you can create that fantasy, even if you tell yourself that you are fantasizing, do that consistently, and you will absolutely support your brain in believing that you can. That would be my 2 cents.
It's very powerful. You know, as I'm listening to you, it's that it sounds similar to that concept of acting as if, but there's a little bit more to it, right? There's that seeing yourself doing it, thinking about and feeling what it's like to actually accomplish it, and then use that momentum of what you're making up to move forward towards achieving that.
That's true, because although we human beings think we make decisions rationally. We don't.
Mm.
We do that emotionally. We make the decision based on emotions, and then our prefrontal cortex, the front of our brain, which is also the CEO function, comes up with all of the reasons why that is a good decision. And it will help you support to confirm, and it's even one of the biases in psychology, is confirmation bias, to confirm that your decision, you're going to rationalize why you decided to buy that specific car or that specific paper roll or that specific toilet paper or that specific scissor, and then you can say, well, it had to be yellow because I can always find it in a closet if I have a yellow scissor. But it isn't even rational. As I'm telling you this, I do realize that it might sound like that, but that's how our brain works. So whenever you're thinking about something, that is what you want to know. And it's been very powerful for me to know that. So you need to visualize, and your brain is a visual and emotional supercomputer. So act as if is behavior, is what you do outside. But if you haven't visualized it yet, and we haven't put it how we feel when we'll be able to do that, it's artificially. You'll do it once, but you're not going to do that consistently. So you want to step back and really use the power of your brain to support you, because our brain is very powerful. So that if you align your actions with that visual, emotional part of the exercise, which is the visualization, then you will just increase your likelihood of success massively.
Absolutely. And that really speaks to the working smarter, not harder. Up there's the, oh, look how cool those are with the little thing. We all different kinds here. I see.
And I've used different colors.
I see you. These are now going to be my MSU binoculars. And I'm going to use them when I need to see something differently, period, end of sentence. Because I get to choose. I get to choose how I see and how I respond to a situation, right? Which is very different than reacting. Reacting is that default piece. Responding is that conscious piece. And when you are, as Loubna was just saying, when you are using your brain efficiently and using the imagination, all those pieces that you mentioned, you know the brain much better than I do. I can't go there with you. Well, what I do know is that if you think a thought again and again and again, it becomes a belief. And if you want to change that belief, you have to think a different thought. And that means in this language that you want to make up something different.
Absolutely. You want to create a new story and a new movie, because again, think about one of your favorite movies. Think about the last movie that you watched that you absolutely love, that you still remember the scenes. That is because that movie used a certain structure and it made it very emotive. There were scenes where, and just before the high point, it was switched to another scene, and you thought, well, what's going to happen? I want to know what happens. So you're really reliving, which is the emotional part of our brain. They're tapping into that more so that you stick to that movie. You want to watch until, so that you can find out what happened. What happened? How did they move these characters? How did they move through the movie? How did they end up with? And that's the type of movie you want to create in your brain. You want them to be so specific that you can see it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it. As the more senses you can incorporate in that movie that you're creating for yourself, the better it is for you.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. It's like, consider this. If you're watching a movie that you don't like, what do? You turn it off, you change it, right? And so the same in our head. If you're playing a movie over again and again that doesn't make you feel good, right? That isn't in alignment with your intention, then you got to change the movie. And that's when we invite you to make something up. Make something up that is good. You are in control of this movie projector. Remember that. You are in control. No one is depositing thoughts in your head and telling you what to think. I think they call that a cult. When they do deposit thoughts in your head, they've lost their free will. You have free will. Each one of us have free will. And so it's remembering that you get to choose how you see things and what you make up about them.
Yeah, most definitely. And we do get bombarded with information in each and every day, and we get to choose every time that happens. And now for most of us, and for each and every one of us, it happens unconsciously. Most of the information just is picked up by our brain through all of our senses. So that's one of the reasons why I've stopped watching the news many, many, many years ago, because I chose that I don't want that input in me. I don't want that, because it will run as a movie in the back of my head, whether I want it to run or not, because your brain has just picked up that information, and it's distributed to your unconscious brain, and that remembers everything that you do, and it will run in the back of your mind, and it will impact your productivity and performance in the day. It will impact your mood. So you want to control your input. What do I put in? And whether that is the news for you, whether that is scrolling to social media, or whatever you want to do, is what do I want to put into my brain that's going to support me on those things that I want to do in my life and business. And whether you choose to listen to a podcast, or you want to read a book or listen to a book as an audio book, or you go out into nature, which is one of the most effective strategies to use, because the nature is very powerful because of those multisensory. Get to see, we get to smell, we get to touch trees. So that's everything in there in nature. That is why it's so powerful. And if you're lucky, you're near water, it's even better, because the smell of the water and the sound of the water have a very positive effect on your mood. So you want to control your input, because there's more information out there than we as human beings will ever be able to process. It's just too much. It's just too much. You have to filter it out. More specifically, you have to make sure that your brain filters it out. So control your input, choose not to do it, not to consume it, or reduce the amount of time that you choose to play on the input, or filter it. So you can put a filter on your social media. You can curate your feed on social media. You can determine what you see and what you don't see. And with that, it will absolutely change your life.
It absolutely will. That input is so key. So key. Awesome. Great conversation, Loubna. Well, let me ask you this as we wrap up.
Wait, can we take another step for the binoculars? Because I'm not ready yet.
There's more? Oh my God.
Okay. Now you can leave it like this if you're a minimalist, and just like, I've used 4 different colors. Or if you've got a little bit, I've got a sparkly tape here.
Oh.
I've got a little bit of sparkly tape, or you could use stickers.
Oh, so good idea.
Or you could use I've got them here. Where is it? I've got blue and I've got black here, I think. Yeah, I've got black. I even have a marker. You can even use some markers to make a little bit of a drawing, or even put down your name so everyone knows that they're your binoculars and no one else's. So if you want to take it to the next step and really go all the way in the craft,
awesome.
Permission granted.
I love that. Go crazy, get creative. Use that imagination, i.e. making stuff up, right? So awesome. I love my binoculars. I'm super excited about these. Now, let me ask you this, Loubna, as we wrap up here. You've had an MSU for a while. You've been using it for a long time to create a life that you have. How do you share with the audience how you use your MSU to create the impact that you are making in the world?
Yeah, so I make stuff up consistently, because there are a couple of things that I do not like about the world today. I don't like about society today, and I want to contribute to changing that. I mean, I can do a lot, and I have a big vision, and I want to impact millions of people. But I'm also mindful of the fact that I live on a day-to-day basis. So I'm present today. So my question is, yes, I want to impact 10 million people, but what am I going to do today and tomorrow so that I can impact one person? What do I need to do? How do I need to show up? And how do I interrupt the patterns that we're in? Because that is what we're all doing. We're all doing the same thing that we did yesterday. It might look different today, but we're doing the exact same thing. Even our brain is thinking the majority, and there are percentages called, let's say 80 to 95% of your thoughts today are exactly the same as they were yesterday. So we are creatures of habit, we're creatures of patterns. So if I want to make changes in the world, then I have to make things up that sound a little bit crazy because they interrupt the patterns. That's one of the reasons why I used 4 different colors and a little bit of sparkly tape, because that will interrupt your pattern as you are watching this, because you're thinking, what is she doing? Why is she choosing 4 colors? I've just grabbed your attention. You're going to probably listen to this more attentively, because you're wondering right now, why did you use 4 colors? Why is that sparkly tape? Where did you get that sparkly tape? When those stickers looked good, where did you get that? And I just grabbed your attention, and you're now focused on this instead of anything else that might be happening in your life, whether that is a positive thing or a negative thing. So right now, if you want to make an impact in the world, we have to be disruptive. We have to be. And the only way that I know how to be disruptive is to come up with things that no one else has ever come up with, to combine things that people think, that's a weird combination. I know, it's very intentional.
So have you come up with a unique sushi combination?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Why do you think I started to ask each and every one of my guests the question, if your personality were a sushi, what would the ingredients be? I've heard the most crazy combinations ever. The next step for me was, as soon as I heard number 3 or 4 say it, I think, okay, that's going to be a cookbook. We're going to create the sushi book of the personality of sushi adoring entrepreneurs. Now, that's never been done.
That's never been done. Yeah, yeah. I love that. Being so you use your MSU to disrupt the pattern, right? And that is the ideal way to be able to start stepping into doing things different, right? And if you don't like the way things are, just like Loubna said, in the world, and in the global world, in the local world, in your personal world, then you get to make the changes. You get to be the change you want to see. And it all starts with making stuff up. So you get to make it up.
Yeah, and if I can add one more thing, now this is not for everyone. You have to done the work for you. You have to done the personal development and the inner work, because the only way that I can disrupt things is to do the crazy things. And when you disrupt, one of the things that comes with it is you get people to tell you, you are crazy, you're out of there, you're stupid for doing that. You will get those messages, you will get those thoughts, you will have those people around you that say, oh my God, can you just do normal things instead of doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
And if you're still in that wobbly phase of, I don't know if I want to stand out that much, or I'm ready to receive those, not be hit as much as I would like of these messages. So I don't have a disruptive pattern. Just work yourself up to that, because you don't have to go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds. I've done the work. I've been spending the last 2 decades on my personal development. I'm now in a phase where I think, I don't care what other people think about me. I'm still going to do whatever I like to. And I can. It doesn't affect me as much when people say, I think you're absolutely crazy. I think, okay, good. I've done my job. So that is, you have to be mindful. I mean, I can be all positive about this and I enjoy what I'm doing, but it does require work. So take baby steps. I did 20 years ago, I took a baby step. And now 20 years later, I'm able to say this to you and to make this on video. I couldn't do that 20 years ago. I can promise you that. So yeah, it does take work. Give yourself the time that you need and take baby steps.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that, Loubna. Thank you so much. Such a delight to have you as a guest on Making Stuff Up. And for those of you that have joined us, it's been ideal having you as guests as well. And if you are enjoying what you're seeing, please subscribe to Making Stuff Up and, you know, can hit that little bell so you'll see when the weekly episodes come up, and you can share it with your friends. So Loubna, we'll be seeing each other again soon. I know all of
Absolutely.
Loubna's contact is in the show notes, so you can find her all over the place. And she's always got something interesting going on. So thank you so much, Loubna. And to all of you, remember, everything is all made up. So why not make up the good stuff? Here's to your delicious day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.